I'm back with the other D'Souza, Deborah D'Souza, with your new look.
Deborah.
You've got Deborah.
My mom calls me Deborah.
Hey,
when she's mad.
You've got the short-haired look, which is probably not what people are used to.
I like it.
I like it. It looks really cool.
It's better. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
It looks awesome. Well,
Thank you, honey.
Debbie and I were having our lattes.
Thanks for noticing. A month later.
Honey, don't be ridiculous.
Just kidding.
Anyway, we were watching while we were sipping our lattes this video from Kamala Harris, and she's kind of a surprising video in which she's apparently telling people not to come. Let's take a quick look, and then we can talk about it. Listen.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
Now, well, I mean, do you think she's been possessed by Trump? I mean, what the heck is going on here? How do you explain what she's trying to do? It's a complete about-face from her earlier position, and the whole Biden administration's position, which was, please come.
Well, I think, they see the crisis that they have created, and they don't want to take blame for it. So they want to come across to say that they indeed do not endorse it, right? Kind of like when I was a teacher and I would talk to my class and I would say, listen, I don't want you to talk, during class. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. And hold them to it, and then exit the classroom and expect for them to sit there and do nothing, right?
Which they obviously wouldn't.
Oh, no, of course not. The teacher went out of the room and they had a party. Well, it's kind of the same.
So you're saying basically that Kamala Harris, that they've put out the message all across Central America.
Absolutely.
It's okay to come, and now as a strategic posture.
Correction, Central and South America.
Yeah. Hey, talk about a little bit about your cousin, because you've been talking to him in Venezuela, and describe what that's all about.
Well, my cousin, who is, as you know, very industrious, he by degree is a mechanical engineer, really, really smart guy. I feel so horrible for him because he has put up with this insanity for many, many years. Right after he graduated college, Hugo Chavez really started, toppling down Venezuela and it started going, socialist, basically. So his entire adult life has been, he's in his 40s now. So right after he was out of college in his 20s is when the reality of this nightmare started to unfold for him. So he's been very crafty in his survival. As we shared a couple of years ago when they would have all those outages because of the infrastructure being so old in Venezuela, he would make his own generator and he'd go off in the mountains and he would camp out for a few days until electricity came back, and he would literally survive with his homemade generator. So very, very smart guy. But lately, I think the toll of this nightmare has it's taken a toll on him. And so he reached out not too long ago and said, hey, I'm thinking of crossing the border. And I was like, you mean the Venezuela border? He was like, no, the Mexican border. Because word on the street in Venezuela is that Joe Biden, once you get through the Rio Grande, he will grant you, status and
let you stay.
Yeah, and so all these Venezuelans think all they have to do is get to Mexico, and then they can cross the border.
Well, they're kind of right. We'll come back to your cousin in a moment, but here's an article: 10,864 Venezuelans pour into Texas border region. That's this year. Last year, 135. So policy has consequences, and these are Venezuelans. Now, they talk here about a woman. They say she was a photographer back home, and she came with her professional Nikon camera equipment. So these aren't, campesinos who are coming to do construction work or work in the fields. You have educated Venezuelans, but socialism has choked not just the lower class, but the middle class. And in desperation, they're they've now got the word that they can cross the Rio Grande. When they do, the Border Patrol grabs them and then lets them go, gives them a court date, but essentially releases them into the country.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is Biden. This is what Biden. So to come back to your cousin, what did you tell him, and how do you see the situation? What should he do?
I told him not to do it. I said it's too dangerous. And he himself said, the only thing that's keeping him from doing it is he doesn't want to be a criminal. He doesn't want to be caught by ICE and given a summons and telling him
Put into a facility.
He doesn't want to do any of that because he's never committed a crime in his life, and he doesn't want to start now. But he's desperate. He has gotten to the point where he cannot survive. And these are middle-class people. These are people that had money at one point and that would never, ever imagine that they would be so desperate as to swim a river for freedom. But Dinesh, freedom is the same in every country. And when the government runs your life, that chokes the freedom right out of you. So, when people come to this country and then expect the government to take care of them, what are they doing? They're doing the exact same thing. They're voting for policies or supporting policies that made their country a hellhole.
Now, you told your cousin, you said, hey, you know why the Biden people are doing this.
Right.
It's political cynicism. They're hoping to, in a sense, be importing in future Democratic voters. Now, your cousin knows all that. How does he make sense of the situation from his side?
Right. Well, he says, unfortunately, when a lot of the people coming to America via this route were Trump supporters, but Trump did not allow this. Trump would not allow this. So they are taking advantage of the situation because they know that this administration wants illegals for purposes of who knows what, pandering, and then later becoming voters if they go the citizenship route, which, by the way, I'm glad that the Supreme Court actually did something that will prevent that from happening anytime soon. But nevertheless, they do it because they think they can. And once they get here, I have to just kind of give you a little bit of background. Some of these people coming through the border were Chavistas. In other words, they supported Hugo Chavez and Maduro in Venezuela, the socialist route.
So in other words, they helped create the socialist nightmare that they're now fleeing from.
Exactly, but they didn't realize that socialism was not equality for all. See, they didn't know that. They didn't realize that they had to be in the top elite group in order to actually take advantage of all the goodies. They didn't realize that it was going to be misery for all. They misunderstood that, right? So when they realized it, they were like, wow. Unfortunately, some of these Chavistas come here and they're okay with the leftist ideology, the Marxist ideology. They don't realize that these people are under the same umbrella.
You're saying the left here and there is cut from the same cloth.
Exactly, cut from the exact same cloth. They believe in the exact same thing. And so they don't realize that coming here and being a part of the Democratic Party is essentially doing the same thing that they did in Venezuela.
You've skirmished on social media with leftist Venezuelans who say, well, Venezuela's horrible and Chavez is horrible, but that's not what the left and the Democrats are doing in this country. And you're like,
exactly. That is what I try to tell them, is that, you know what, it is the exact same thing.
It might take...
And it may take us, it only took them 20 years. It might take us 40 years. But at the end, I think that, socialism is socialism. And as I've told you before, I have some friends in Venezuela that live high on the hog. They're not starving, but my family is. And so I look at them, I try to tell them, don't do it, don't go over, don't cross the Rio Grande for freedom. Let's do it the correct way. I'm trying to see if I can get an immigrant attorney to help my cousin so that he can come to America. But you have to realize a lot of these Venezuelans coming to America aren't coming to America because they think America is great and they want to be Americans. They're fleeing.
They're refugees.
The catastrophe that is their home country that they wish was not the case.
So in other words, they'd happily go back if there was an opening up in Venezuela.
Absolutely. If Venezuela was free again, free of this nightmare that Hugo Chavez and now Maduro is perpetuating and causing, I think that they would be happy to live in Venezuela.
And so your position, and mine too, is that your cousin is the kind of immigrant that actually America will benefit from. He's an educated guy, he's hardworking, he's conservative in his convictions, but all we're saying to him is, hey, we'll try to help you come the legal way.
Right, exactly. He hates big government, as people should. And you had Tara Reid a little while ago talking about how she votes for the person. Unfortunately, the people that are under the umbrella of the political party believe in the ideology of the political party. So you have to be very careful that you don't vote for a person that will then turn around and essentially vote for socialism.
Politics is fought in teams.
Exactly.
There's a team that's on one side and there's a team that's on the other side.
Exactly.
Okay, terrific. Really enjoyed this, and wow, what a story.
Very sad, but the reality.
The reality of it, yes.